Hello, and welcome to our CFO Notebook series, where we'll be speaking to senior finance leaders about the latest trends and challenges they're facing and the steps they're taking to address them. I'm Aoife Morgan, reporter at the CFO, and today I'm joined with Tadeu Marroco, the Finance and Transformation Director at BAT, to discuss how the tobacco giant is tackling ESG, as well as how it's driving efficiencies across the business as part of Project Quantum, and how the company is looking to minimize the impact on its bottom line after pulling out of Russia amid the Ukraine invasion. Thank you for joining us today, Tadeu.
It's a pleasure.
So one thing I'm keen to find out about is that as a tobacco company, you're in a very interesting position when it comes to ESG. Could you explain BAT's A Better Tomorrow strategy and what you're currently working on within that?
Well, sure. Look, our purpose is very clear. We want to build a better tomorrow. And the way we do that is by reducing the health impact of our business through the offering of a great choice of enjoyable and scientifically substantiated, less risky products. Today, we have the technology to be able to do that, and we also have the willingness from our consumers to try different ways to enjoy the nicotine that they are able to get from smoking a cigarette. So this all gets aligned, and this translates into not just a very positive impact on society, but also on sustainability of our business. So for us, sustainability is front and center of everything we do, and is an integral part of our purpose of the company. So we have, as a consequence, launched three different categories over the last 6 years. One on vaping products that is called Views, global brand today that is leader worldwide. And we also have a product called Glow in the category called tobacco heating products, and a third product, a global product called Velo in what we call nicotine pouches. So it's a new way of enjoying oral tobacco without tobacco in it. It's just nicotine and flavors. So we have accelerated the revenue growth of these categories, those three categories, by more than 50%, and going up to £2 billion now in 2021. So we came from basically nothing back in 2016 to a 2 billion business closing 2021. So we have also increased consequence in this journey the number of these non-combustible products now to last year to a further 4.8 million of those to reach something close to 19 million non-combustible consumers at this point in time. That has many of them has already transit and exit cigarettes to those products. Some others are using to and reducing the consumption of cigarettes and moving to those products. For sure, for those that they don't want to quit, cigarettes is a massive opportunity to reduce their risk profile. And obviously, like any other company, we are working hard on targets, including eliminating single plastic use by 2025, making all plastic packaging capable of being reusable or recycled by again 2025, and achieving carbon neutrality in our operations in terms of scope 1 and 2 by 2030, and including scope 3 in our entire value chain by 2050. So we have created a strong foundation over the last few years, and we are pretty much on the path to reach our targets that we have announced of a revenue of £5 billion, moving from the £2 billion that where we are today, basically to £5 billion by 2025, and be able to reach out 50 million of these non-combustible consumers by 2030. So we will be doing that not just on those three categories, and but also in the future we're going to go even beyond that and launching beyond nicotine products in the right moment as well.
And so within the process of that transformation, what are some of the key challenges you faced in the company's transition to becoming greener, and what steps have you taken to improve the situation?
Well, we are dedicated in doing all we can, as you can imagine, to combat the global issue of climate change. And we are working very hard to decarbonize our business operations and our whole value chain. We have achieved already a 43% reduction in terms of scope 1 and 2 emissions, and a 20% reduction in scope 3 against our 2017 baseline. So we are really making a lot of progress on that. We have already 65%, almost 65% of our energy sourced in operation sites which are renewable, and we are conducting life cycle assessments of our products to reduce the carbon emission in the design. So whenever we come to new products in our pipeline related to those new categories, mainly they are already designed with this mindset upfront. We are engaging with our largest suppliers in terms of materials, so they can also achieve carbon neutrality, because we are already mirroring the scope 3 targets that we have by 2050 to come to neutrality, including the whole value chain. So it's important to get the suppliers on board early on in this process. And we have now 18 certified carbon neutral sites as we continue to work towards achieving the carbon neutrality that I was referring to by 2030 in terms of scope 1 and 2. So we have also engaged, we have created a venture capital at the end of 2019, and in creating this corporate venture that we call Be Tomorrow, we have been engaging, amongst other things, with startups for ESG, dealing with the ESG accelerators. And I think that is the first industry program related to that, focused on identifying those startups that has very interesting ideas how to tackle the major challenge that the industry has to tackle on the ESG journey. And just to give an ideas, for example, we are testing innovative solutions, for example, to process factory waste and cigarette butts to extract the cellulose acetate. Another entrepreneur that we are dealing with, we are testing together with them a system for identifying the root causes of child labor and on the tobacco growing, and be able, through the use of data analytics, artificial intelligence, to anticipate some of the potential problems and be proactive in dealing with that. So we are making big inroads overall on that phase.
And I also wanted to touch upon the topic of greenwashing for a moment. So a recent report by the World Health Organization accused the tobacco industry of greenwashing. As a finance and transformation director, what are the steps you're taking to combat this?
Look, our sustainability approach is based on a track record of transparency, first of all, independently assured the sustainability reporting over 20 years. ESG for VAT is not something that has started just now. We were the first company releasing our sustainability reports back in the 2000s. So it's nothing new for us. It's in the reality, we have a long-standing shareholder engagement profile, and a very detailed materiality process and sound governance procedures related to that. So, and that's one of the reasons why we are the only tobacco company to be included in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, and with a score of 86%. And we have been consistently in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index over the last 20 years. So no other company in our industry managed to get these achievements. So in January 2022, we were recognized as a global top employer for the 50th consecutive year by the Top Employers Institute as well. In April 2022, now more recently, we were named in the Financial Times list of the Europe's climate leaders for a second successive year. So we have read a lot of credentials related to that. So like I said, it's not something new, but this is the results of years of focus related to the different elements of the ESG, and that puts us in with credibility related to that specifically space. Now, for sure that we want to do more, and that's the reason why we have made big commitments. And our commitments, like I mentioned before, is to get us to the carbon neutrality across the whole value chain by 2050. And we are well on track, and we are separate these in different phases. The first phase is the scope 1 and 2 by 2030. We are well on track to achieve that in the next coming years. We want to get to 100% renewable electricity by 2030, which is a big achievement for us as well. We want to have 100% of our manufacturing sites certified by Alliance for Water Stewardship by 2025. And we also want to have 100% of our manufacturing sites to have zero waste to landfill by 2025. So we are tracking all those KPIs in a very, it's very disciplined way, and we are very satisfied with the progress we are making. Now, in more recently in July 2021, because we keep challenging ourselves what else can be done in that space, we have set additional stretching targets in terms of net zero deforestation of managed forests in our supply chain, again by 2025, because we are trying to accelerate as much as we can. And net positive impact on forest and our tobacco leaf supply, again by 2025. And more recently, last year, we have also signed up to the UN-backed Race to Zero global campaign and commit to set science-based targets. So these can all be seen very, very in a very transparent way, and again in a very reassured, because we are now having a third-party assurance company to validate all the achievements and the metrics that we are committing ourselves in our sustainability reports and the annual reports for all the stakeholders to be clear of what the progress we are making in those different areas.
Yeah, and moving on to another project that you're working on at BAT is Project Quantum, which is the company's program to drive simplification and efficiencies across the business. What changes have you made or are you making to the finance function to support this project?
This probably, like you said, is about simplifying our business. It's about making it stronger, making it simpler, making it faster. We need agility in order to move from a single category company to as a multi-category company. So as part of this program, we have reviewed our span of controls. We have reviewed the numbers of layers, trying to reduce the numbers of layers in order to bring agility. We leverage the global business service, the hubs that we have across the group in order to do more transactional activities on behalf of the market, so we can free up the markets to focus on the execution of the strategy. And we also have put a lot of emphasis in terms of how can we reduce numbers of SKUs, how can we simplify the specification of the products, how can we review our footprints in order to make sure that it is the more effective and efficient possible. And for sure, we are bringing all the digital tools available today in terms of automations, RPAs in general, and artificial intelligence, predictive analytic tools in order to bring this efficiency. And as a consequence of that, we have announced that our original target of 1 billion savings from 2020 to 2022 has already been achieved last year with 1.3 billion. And as a consequence, we have now announced a target of a minimum 1.5 billion up to the end of 2022. So in 3 years' time, we're going to generate more than 1.5 billion of savings, tackling all these different areas that I was referring to, and more importantly, simplifying and making the company much more agile to cope with the challenge that we are all facing.
In 2021, Ukraine and Russia accounted for 3% of the group's revenue, and earlier this year, you've announced you'll transfer the Russian business. How has that been, and how are you looking to minimize the impacts of this on the company's balance sheet?
Yeah, we are deeply concerned about the conflict in Ukraine. As you can imagine, the safety and the well-being of our people there and across the region is our first priority. But we come to a point in time that was unsustainable, our presence in Russia. As you can imagine, being BAT Russia, very successful operations for BAT, we are completely joined up, and we have, for example, the last 5 years implemented a single template ERP across the group. We're reviewing our operating model, and BAT Russia is part of this structure. So takes a time for us to decouple BAT Russia from the mothership, if you want. Is a very tricky M&A deal, very different from the others that you would normally see. And we are trying to find an interested local party to take over the business so we can transfer the assets and to this new buyer. So it's taking some time, which is not unexpected given the nature of this transaction. And but on the other hand, we are creating the space across the group to be able to absorb the loss of BAT Russia. BAT Russia is a key market for us in terms of tobacco heating products and new category in general. We are performing quite well with Glow, our tobacco heating product that I was referring to, reaching around 5% of market share in Moscow and more than double, which is more than double the national share. So it was going very fast. So for sure that now we have to replace these potential growth for some other geographies. The good news is that today BAT is present in just 50% of the markets where tobacco heating products are being sold. So there is a lot of white space for the group to grow. And we are now doing exactly that. We are trying to diversify our investments and accelerating our geographic expansion to different markets, so we are able to cope with the loss of BAT Russia and be able to achieve our commitments that I referred before in terms of reaching the 5 billion targets in terms of revenue of these new category products by 2025 on a profitable basis. So that's our target, and we have all it takes to be able to do it, because we created strong foundations over the last 3-4 years, and now we are benefiting to have a strong position in each of those categories, because we adopted the multi-category strategy since early on in this process.
Great. Well, that's all the questions I have. So thank you very much for joining us today, Tadeu, and for taking the time to share your insights with us. It was great learning more about how BAT is approaching ESG and your experience in driving simplification and efficiencies across the business.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Aoife, to be with you today, and for all your audience that are interested in our story. I think that we are very excited here in BAT, and like I mentioned before, we have been making big inroads in transforming the company into this multi-category company that will have a massive positive impact on society, and we are creating 3 strong global brands across vaping, across tobacco heating products, across nicotine pouches, and I'm very, very confident that we will reach the targets that we have set ourselves, and we go even beyond nicotine at a certain stage as well, with the help of the corporate venture that has been set up, like I referred to. So again, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, and I think our audience will agree. It's been a very interesting conversation, so thank you again. If you want to watch more of our CFO Notebook series, or simply want to access more information on the latest emerging trends impacting senior finance leaders, you can visit the CFO online. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more video content. Thanks for watching.